Hi everybody, this is Danny Rubin from Marvin. Today I want to talk to you about how to get that Stevie Ray Vaughan sound. I'm not going to talk about all the stuff he does because Stevie does a ton of stuff. But rather I want to talk about how to get his general kind of sound and also how he approaches playing the shuffle, playing the groove in the blues. His sound is very mystified, maybe the most mystified out of every guitar player because he played those 13s, which it wasn't even a conventional set of 13s. It was like a 13 on top, a very thick one on the bottom, like a 58 or something, even thicker. And then the center four strings were a set of 11s, and he would tune that to down to E flat. That feels kind of like a set of 11s in standard tuning, which is what I have on my guitar. I have tried. And yeah, but that won't get you the sound. Also, the amp won't get you the sound. You can call Alexander Dumbo to build you an amp, and that also will not get you the sound. You can fish in your EQ section between 4.5 and 5 and 6 on all the settings and set it just like him, and that will also not get you the sound. The thing that will get you the sound is seeing his picking hand. It's all in the picking hand. If you listen to him play an acoustic guitar, that's a pretty clear example of how he's getting almost the same sound from an acoustic and from a Strat. And it's not all that different from the rest stroke technique that Django Reinhardt uses in gypsy jazz and all that stuff. The idea that you cut through the string and get it to ring. When applied to a Strat, it gets that metallic, spanky sound that we all know and love, right? Okay, so what's going on there? First of all, there's two things that you need to really get together. The ability to play each string individually and get that rest thing happening, okay, which is just like gypsy jazz picking, meaning a rotation of the arm bone, cutting through the string, and resting on the next string. See that angle? So what am I doing? I'm actually cutting through the string and resting on the next string. That's one thing that's happening. The other thing, which is kind of like the La Pompe style in gypsy jazz, same kind of motion, but what you do is with your left hand, you mute every string but the string you're playing. So in effect, I'm hitting all the strings, but I'm getting them to sound one at a time. So if I'm playing like a blues kind of thing, so a great way to practice this is if you just map out, if you take like a position, right? This is the position, this is the second position. And you just lay your fingers flat on the guitar. Practice getting every note across the second fret with your index finger on every string. Just hitting all the strings. And then with the next finger. Next finger. Next finger. After you can do that, then you've really mapped out every place on the guitar, right? Because when you move positions, it's just the same. There's basically, 6 times 4, so 24 locations of where you can do it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the motion is the same no matter where you are in the guitar because you know how to do it with every finger. And it's just about muting with the rest of your hand. So once you can do it in one place, you can do it in every place. And the idea is after that you can apply it to a blues scale, right? With my right hand, I'm hitting all the strings. With my left hand, I'm just getting one note at a time. When you're playing Stevie kind of stuff, that's ultra useful because when you're trying to get all those sounds. A lot of times you're playing the groove with the right hand, hitting everything. You're not being very specific with it, but you need to mute very well with your left hand. It's how you get that thick sound that makes those 11 sound like 13, sound thicker than they are. Also, it's important to get a sound from your amp that has enough gain to where you can play about 5 notes with an even kind of sound before they start decaying. Meaning, that's how I test it. I slide a note to kind of 5 places and see if it's too clean, it's gonna kind of start fading away by the time you get to the 5th note. To me, that's the right amount of overdrive. If you have like a Van Halen thing where it's just like ooh, and you can play like an infinite amount of notes holding one string, you just have like an infinite kind of feedback loop, then you're gonna lose a little bit of your right hand articulation and not really get that sound. This kind of style of playing is for that overdriven sound, but not the saturated sound, also not the clean sound. So you need that in between. Okay, so now, a lot of the things that he does past that is mixing that rest stroke with pull-offs and slides, all right? And that's really where he starts getting really stratty, because with gypsy jazz, you can't really get away. You don't have the sustain for playing too much left-hand articulation, but Stevie sure did. So the next thing I'd experience with that's just like an E-blues thing. Once you can get that snappy sound, start pulling off, hammering on. That lick is just like a little sweep, like I'm playing the G, A, 2 downstrokes, right? Two rest strokes, upstroke on the B flat, and a pull off. Right? That's a cool little thing. Now, another thing Stevie would do is he would pinch with his middle finger, especially notes on the high E string, all those like Sky's Crying type licks. To get that extra nasally kind of sound. Another thing you do is you would arpeggiate with that finger. So that's another kind of useful thing. Now, the real big thing about him that I think is really epic is how he played shuffles. And he really was the kind of player that could play alone. He didn't need the band. And he always seems to be playing the groove behind his solo and playing stuff that's directly related to the groove. And I think a great thing to develop is an ability to kind of just express the shuffle in a clear way. Now, a lot of people, when they come for blues, they play something that sounds maybe like, which is supported. You're playing swing eighth notes, right? Triplets with the middle one missing. Dunk, 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 dunk. But he was also given the information of the snare drum, meaning the accent on 2 and 4. And if you think about a swing groove on a drum set, right? It's bass, bass, snare, bass, 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 snare, bass, 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 snare. So that rhythm, it was kind of digging into 2 and 4, right? 1, 2, 3. So really putting that information inside your playing helps a lot. So that, now you don't have to, you can use upstrokes for those offbeats, right? And just connect with downstrokes on the beats. 1 and 2 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now on those upstrokes, you can also use open strings, which he did a lot. Instead of like just, you can go. Right? That's just that, playing mostly pentatonic with that rest stroke technique really gives you that sound if you can keep the groove going too, meaning playing that shuffle and relating all you're doing to that. Another last thing I'll give you for free is that little rhythmic thing that he does there with the backward sweep. So if you're playing like an E minor pentatonic kind of thing, sliding to the fifth, doing that kind of shape, and so that rhythm, so that's a downstroke, slide forward from I guess the 14th to the 16th fret, and then 3 up strokes like, and ends on a downstroke. But you want to be able to play it like a drum, like a rhythm player is playing.